So this will be the building blocks and relations of sound and meaning. Again, we kind of deepen our perception of that what we already spoke about. So you see my projection, yes, most probably. Yes, okay.
Yes.
So you know this very famous statement in the John's Bible from John. In the beginning was the Word, and Word was with God, and Word was God. And we have also several statements of from Vakyapadiya starts in a very similar way. The Brahman, who is without beginning or end, whose very essence is the word, who is the cause of manifested phonemes, appears as the objects from whom the creation of the world proceeds. We know that Brahman in the Vedic parlance is actually the word, the hymn, yes? And Brahmanaspati is the lord of the word, of Brahman. Brahman is mantra, actually. It is the mantra which is rising from the heart, and not the spirit, as it is later in the post-Vedic literature, it becomes the spirit. But fundamentally it is the word. Spirit is the word. And that word becomes the flesh. Equally Sankhya, this is the quotation from Sri Aurobindo. In the Sankhya classification of the 5 elemental states, we spoke about this in the other session on Rig Veda, states of substance from ether to earth, we see that their characteristic is a constant progression from the more subtle to the less subtle. So that at the summit, we have the subtle vibrations of the ethereal, and at the base, the grosser density of the earthly or solid elemental condition. Matter, therefore, is the last stage known to us in the progress of pure substance towards a basis of cosmic relation in which the first word shall be not spirit but form, and form in its utmost possible development of concentration, resistance, durability, durably gross image, mutual impenetrability, the culminating point of distinction, separation, and division. This is the intention and character of the material universe. It is the formula of accomplished divisibility. So this is according to Sankhya. So we have the 5 elements, and they are kind of becoming finally at the end separate, gross, embodied state in matter. But it starts with ether. There is also one quotation before I proceed with my material, quotation from the mother on the power of the word, which I wanted to introduce here. In this regard, says the mother, it's her words, we can say that the active power of words comes from 3 different causes. The first 2 lie in the word itself. The first 2, so there will be 3 of them. The first 2 lie in the word itself, which has become a battery of forces. The third lies in the fact of living integrally the deep thought expressed by the word when we pronounce it. So it is that what we create. We create a word in the moment of time, in the actual moment of time is the third one. Naturally, if these 3 causes of effectiveness are combined, the power of the word is considerably enhanced. So let us look into these 3. First, there are certain words whose resonance in the physical world is the perfect vibratory materialization of the more subtle vibration produced by the thought in its own domain. Here we have a very interesting kind of expression, thought and word. Manas and Vak. This is a constant Vandva in the Upanishads. Yes? Vang me manasi pratishthitam, mano me vachi pratishtitam. Yes, my mind is established in my word is established in my mind. So these two, manas, thought in this case is the form, formation, or the artha, the meaning, as it were, and the word is that vibration. And these two vibrations, they kind of correspond. If we examine closely this similarity between the vibrations of thought and sound, we can discover the limited number of roots or root syllables which express the most general ideas, and which are to be found in most spoken languages with an almost identical meaning. This origin of language should not be confused with the origin of written languages, of writing, scripts, which are on an altogether different nature, are of altogether different nature and correspond to different needs. Second, the second part, there are other words which have been repeated in certain circumstances for hundreds of years and which are instinct with the mental forces of all those who have pronounced them. So those people who were pronouncing them charged them with their own consciousness. They are true batteries of energy. Certain mantras have power even if you don't understand them, just pronouncing them would be enough. Yes. Like, for example, Sahana Bhavatu, nobody knows what it means, but by pronouncing it, you already joined the party, the consciousness of all those who were pronouncing it for thousands of years. And finally, there are words which assume an immediate value when they are pronounced. That means they are born in the moment of time, as a result of the living thought of the one who pronounces them. It's a very important third one. This is what we have to become. We should not be only papageis or, parrots of those words which were pronounced by other great beings, and get their, power of consciousness. Nor only the first one is also very important. We have to understand the etymological system of our capacity to articulate sounds. And the third one, we have to use them in our life. We have to generate meanings, generate new thoughts, new ideas. To illustrate what I have just said, says the mother, with an example, there is a very powerful word, for it can combine the qualities of all three categories. It is the Sanskrit word Om. So Om has correspondence with the vibration of the fundamental vibration of cosmos. In other place, Mother speaks about this. It is pronounced by thousands of generations of people over time. And if we pronounce it consciously in the moment where it is needed to express our state of consciousness, it will have that power. About the syllable, Mother speaks that she discovered it in France when somebody was giving a lecture on some kind of Indian philosophy. He pronounced this mantra Om, and she says the whole the whole building started to shine with light. She could see it. It lightened up the whole room. Of course, nobody saw it in the room, only the mother. But still, for her, it was a discovery that there is a word which can do that. So why I'm doing this at the beginning before I come to my material, because I want to lay the foundation of how this etymology will work out for us. So these two we looked into many times, Artha and Shabda, how they correspond. On the highest level they are one, on the lowest level they are two different realities of the objects and words. Sri Aurobindo gives his overview of the building blocks. According to Sankhya, this would be easily and happily accepted by Praveen, since he is so fond of Sankhya. I shall first indicate the principle on which the roots of the Deva Bhasha were formed. All Shabda, Vak, as it manifests out of the Akasha by the force of Matarishvan. Matarishvan is the great active and creative energy, literally, who swells, grows in the mother. It's actually Brahman. Brahman will be that power which grows, because Brahman is from root brih, to grow, to expand. And is put in the place, in its place in the flux of formed things, apas. Interestingly, waters is that flux of formed things, that which makes connection, meaningful connection between things. The liquidity carries with it certain definite significance, artha. So that Shabda has inbuilt in itself a certain definite significances, what it wants to manifest. It wants to manifest certain qualities, characteristics, properties, and they are inbuilt already in that vibration. These are determined by the elements through which it has passed. Shabda appears in the Akasha, travels through Vayu, the second element, in which Sparsha is the vibration. By the vibrations of Sparsha it creates Tejas, the third element, certain forms, and so arrives into being with these three characteristics. First, certain contextual vibrations. Secondly, a particular kind of Tejas, of force. Thirdly, a particular form. These determine the bhava, or general sensation it creates in the mind, and from that sensation develop its various precise meanings according to the form which it is used to create. So the first three are the most important to create the very bhava, that is the Akasha, the Vayu, and Agni, Tejas. So we need these three, and so Akasha will be the word, the vibration, the Vayu will be Sparsha, touch, that vibration which is already creating a touched consonants, as it were. There is some kind of characteristic of touch within the Akasha, which is Vayu. And finally, one more dimension which creates the heat, the light, and that heat energy creates the form which is to be embodied and separated later through flux of liquid water to the formed separate formation in the matter, Prithvi. So the first three are most important because they are forming the meaning. This is the vision of Sri Aurobindo, how these two ideas of creating the objects and creating the words are corresponding, and belonging to the same one, Vedic knowledge. Here he has another view on building blocks, and he speaks about them in this way: being, motion, contact, sound, form, and action. So being, vibrant with consciousness, becomes a vibration as a sound of conscious force or consciousness force. Vibration manifested through hearing the sound, shabda, akasha. Then, second, contact, vibration manifested through touch, as of energy of conscious being, sparsha, vayu. Contactual vibration manifested through forming itself into energy, force, heat, flame, light, seeing, form, tejas, agni. In this case, some of you may remember the discussion of the difference of the form and the object. And this is the philosophical discussion in the Greek philosophy. So here we see that the form precedes the formation of the object. It is somewhere in the tejas, on the tejas level. And then flux of formed energy in things manifested in their contacts and relations, apas. And finally, separateness of things, rigidity, hardness, multitude, prithvi. There is more coming. So if you have any questions or comments, please, you just interrupt, because I will be kind of flowing forward. Okay. So we looked into this already. Sri Aurobindo says we can find an equal regularity, an equal reign of fixed process on the psychological side in the determining of relation of particular sense to particular sound. This is the foundation of etymology. And I've already most probably mentioned that etymology nowadays as a science is a very weird science, because it does not look at the language in the systematic way. It looks only at etymons as parents of certain words. Yes, there is certain historical development of the word, and that's it. There is no interconnectedness of meanings. It doesn't look at it in that way, because it does not recognize the value of the sound or the meaning of the sound. It believes that the sound has no meaning. And if sound has no meaning, you can call anything by anything. Yeah, doesn't matter. I can call the cup a door. It's a door. Or I don't know, door is not a good, a phone. And in a way, it's an amazing thing. When I said the door, I immediately saw etymologically the gap, the entry. So it could be the door. And then when I say the phone, I also immediately understood it could be a phone, because there is a space in between which can resonate a particular sound. So in a way, I can call this by whatever name I call it. There will be some characteristic of it which I can highlight and name by that characteristic, that object. That's what Sri Aurobindo says, that he can arrive at any meaning from any root. So here his definitions, general significances, which we looked into, but it will be important for us to look into it again. So first four vowels, a, in its short form, indicates being in its simplicity, without any further idea of modification or quality, mere or initial, creative, initial being, creative of space. And it's quite clear, because if you try out to pronounce a, you will see that the vibration of vocal cords, without any obstruction by the tongue, palate or lips or nasal cave, nothing is happening, no articulations, only the vibration, only the sound, ah. Yeah? And ah is considered to be the major sound of the whole language. Yeah? It is by Abhinavagupta and by Sri Aurobindo. Even Krishna says, among all sounds, I am a sound, akara. That means the very vibration of vocal cords, from which, by modulating it, we can create other forms or other expressions. So if I modulate R into E, and I can do it by the tongue will press R to the palate, and it will become E. E, an intense state of existence, being narrowed, forceful, and insistent, tending to a goal, seeking to occupy space. How do we know about this? We know it by psychological state when we press with the tongue to the palate. It is exactly that what we feel in the whole body. So when you do E, it is very intense, actually. It is kind of trying to reach to the top. The top is the palate. We feel it in our mouth. The hard palate is the top of our being. It's called, in the Indian tradition, talo, talavya. It's exactly that. And then oo, interesting sound, because there is no more tongue pressing to the top. A tongue is down, but the sound goes through, and lips formulated in such a way, that it vibrates within the mouth, holding the whole fullness of the mouth, because these two lips at the surface create that duality. Interestingly, wide, extended but not diffuse state of existence, being medial. Medial, interesting that two are participating, two lips, upper and lower, and firmly occupant of space. That's why all the dualities in Sanskrit and all Indo-European languages will have that oo formation. Two, duality, you, thou, everywhere oo, yes, second person, and so on. In English also, not to say about Sanskrit. Sanskrit is tvam, all the same, yeah. Yuyam, yuvam, second person. All this marut marutau, two winds. Narach narau, two men. So dualities, all this will be a part of it. And three, the vibrant state of existence, pulsing in space, being active about a point within a limit. We can feel it. It's drilling, it's breaking, it's crushing. All these words will have r because they will be doing that meaning, creating that meaning. Long vowels we spoke, they do not change the meaning, they intensify the meaning. Except short R can actually change the direction, or add to it the extension. We read this. I'm coming to the alphabet because I want to present my material. It was only preliminary remarks until now. Now I'm coming to the material. So if you look at our system, we can see that these are the major Vargas, and these Vargas actually embody that what Sri Aurobindo said. The gutturals, the A, and Kakha would have the most general significance. We will see it in definition by Sri Aurobindo, how he defines these letters. E will have this more pressing or more narrowing down. And if I would be totally kind of clear, I would have E and Chi, Chi, Ji, Ji, Ni, Yi, Shi, to keep it purely this, So Chi is palatal, E is palatal, so the pressing Chi and E, so if I combine them, I will get the pure root Chi, which means to gather, to focus, to pile up into one spot, one-pointedness. It's like an arrow flying to one point, to the goal. So this Chi, from here, Chit, consciousness as a power to focus on any object of sense, power to hold on to anything, to highlight anything of the being, any element, detail, property. So what consciousness does when it creates the worlds, from this, undefined, undifferentiated being, it can focus on any element and bring it into life. It can shape it by focusing on a particular detail of the being. This is chi, chit. Then ji, there is another powerful root. Chi we don't have. We have chid, also separate, split, chinati, yeah? But we have ji, also interesting, cutting in, breaking through, conquering as breaking through the obstacle and entering and occupying. This word is used many times in Sanskrit, you can use it even Svargam Jayati. Yes? He conquers heaven. How can you conquer heaven? It's not kind of grabbing heaven to yourself. It's kind of entering and settling there, kind of becoming part of it. Interesting. So we need to know the specificity of the root to really feel what it means. And then, of course, yi root itself is to move, to go, shi to sharpen. So these are the roots sharpening. You can see the same narrowing down, making it one-pointed. So these are general significances of the roots.
Vladimir, I have a question here.
Yes.
So when you say Jayati, right? So the guttural, the vowel is A, right?
Oh yeah, this is Guna. Yeah,
okay.
this is Guna. I will explain Guna. No biggie.
Okay.
It's E actually. Jaya is E. Yeah, Jiru, Jita, conquered. We will have to look into vowels separately and then it will become clear. Jayati, yes. So if we take other roots, for example, U, I will take A, I, U. I'll skip this in between because we will come to them separately. So U is the most significant, easy to see, easy to feel this fullness. Purna, yes? Pu, interesting. Pu is to purify in both sense, to make pure, pavana from here, pavana from pu, yeah? Like Jaya from G, so again Guna. And this is how the words were generated from the roots. So pu to purify, interesting. Yeah? It's like pu, it's on the surface, everything which is pu, purna, fullness. Yeah. And buhu, to become. Becoming means occupying space, kind of mu, to bind. We will come to these roots more. So you will see this interesting sense of fullness, connectivity of two into one, and in the most general way. Yes, you want to say something, Mahesh? Yeah. If anybody wants to clarify something, please interrupt. It's the best way.
Okay, I may as well ask this then.
Yeah.
So are we saying therefore that the purpha, burbha will not have roots which go with E and Re and
No, they will. The combinations, all combinations are possible. So
Okay.
it can be kik, gungu. You will see all the combinations, but you already have a sense of what it is, yeah? And then you can arrive at the meaning. You will see how contextual meanings were created, generated from the general significance. But I'm taking only pure roots for us to enter, to have that sense, pure sense of it. Yeah. So I would say kakagaghangaha, and then I would say chi chi ji chi ni shi, and then pu pu bu bu mu bu fu, to have pure just one level articulation, yes, not mixing labial with palatal, palatal with guttural, not to mix them yet, just to get the general roots which would give us kind of sense.
Vladimir, I just for a little more understanding here as well for me. So when you say, so when ka, which is a, or ik, which is a consonant, when it actually joins the vowel a, it picks up the how do I say, the guna of the a comes into picture here. Is that the understanding? And then when ik mixes with E, the intensity, then the guna of E carries forward for ik. Is that how we need to understand? Because when it is ka with a guttural, does it take the guna of the, or does it actually embody the a's wideness? And when it is ki, does it involve the e's
Absolutely.
intensity?
Absolutely, you are right. Exactly that. And so A is the most undifferentiated state of existence, yes? So it doesn't really change much of anything. Yeah? So ka ka ga ga nga ha ha, that A, even it is not even written in Sanskrit, yeah, in Devanagari. You don't have even sign for it, yeah? Because it is really the least interfering. And you will find that short A is the most used varna in Sanskrit language because it supports and carries, it's a carrier. It's that undifferentiated state of existence, creative of space, initial of being. It is allowing everything else to come into existence, yeah? Like notes, modulations, but it is a carrier. It's like a background, yeah, on which you are drawing the picture, that wide background, you know, with all colors you can paint, but is implied. The background is implied all the time. When you say E, is there behind it, modulated by the tongue. Yeah? It is still there. It is always there.
Got it.
Is the most fundamental, most important. And it's interesting when it follows the ka, for example, follows the consonant, it doesn't have anything to offer to ka or to cha or something. But when it is preceding, it is something else. So if we have, for example, satyam, we spoke about satyam, so it's easy. So it would have that white color you will put on the satyam, on the truth. So suppose the satyam is blue and you paint it with white color on the top. So the blue becomes less obvious. So it tells us, it makes it less actual. Yeah? So this in front makes always less actual the meaning which follows. It's kind of amazing. You will see it in the past tense also. Abhavat, was. So means bhavat, who is not now, not actual. Yes? It belongs to some other time. So it creates a past tense, it creates non-actual, asatyam, truth which is not actual for this particular context. That means not true, and so on. But yeah, this is about as a white color, as it were. We spoke about colors. E was for us red, with the re most probably, and U is blue for some reason. Colors are a relative thing. It's just very subjective, but still there is something about them. It helps to understand the mixture of in the roots. Now I'm coming to that question you had, modulations of vowels, how vowels are generated. So there are simple vowels, which are 5 levels of articulation, a, I, U, ri, li, ri, li, U. So on 5 levels, we have simple vowels, a, I, U, ri, li. But then when we combine them, we can generate new vowels. So from R to E, if I move from R to E, my tongue moves up, and in between the position there will be a position. So from R to E there is a, and there are many a's, many allophones. It can be a, closer to E, and can be in between a, normal a. But all of them, all the allophones are considered to be mixture of A and E. And in different pronunciations, in different languages, different dialects, people pronounce differently a, as you notice, even in India. In the south, they will say ye instead of e. So, but they mean e. So, knowing all that, of course, e is the major sound, which has many allophones. The same with a. So many ways you can modulate it with a little bit, and e also. But e is more, because e combines both. And these are called diphthongs. So diphthongs of two vowels participate in building the third one. So A plus U gives O. Yeah, it's quite clear. Aum. Aum is a good word. So from A to U, in between will be Om. O. Yeah, A plus Ri will give R. Ri cannot mix. A plus Li will give Al. Cannot mix. They will give us semi-vowels. Semi-vowels means that they are vowels, but consonant produced from vowels. And then there is vriddhi, long A, when it is mixed with E. So it is longer than E, I, it becomes diphthong I. And then Au becomes Au, R, Al. This is the pure, beautiful, clearly demarcated system of modulations of vowels. Nobody has this in the world. It looks like very primitive, but it is genius. Why? Because the derivations of the words, the creation of the words in the language are transparent. You can figure out where they belong. So A plus E, all this we learned, but if we change the position and A will not be the first, but E will be the first, E plus A will be Ya, U plus A will be Ra, Wa, Ra, and La. And these are the semi-vowels, consonants in the system. Here they are. Ya, Ra, La, Va. They are from E, Ri, Li, U produced. Amazing, huh? Oh, this is a big discovery. So we spoke about this a bit, what it is, about the alphabet, so I'm not going back to it. I'm just going forward.
Question,
yeah.
Please. I have a doubt on these sounds R and Al.
Okay, go ahead with your doubt.
And what are these sounds actually, Vladimir? I mean, if I write in Devanagari the sounds, I'm just trying to.
Oh, writing in Devanagari, it's R, Al. Yes, is this it? Because these are consonants, R and L. This is
this
not
would
vowel.
be correct. Is this the sound?
I can type for you if you want.
I mean, I have typed it in the chat. I'm just trying to see.
Oh, in the chat. Okay, let me check.
Are these
Yes,
the sounds?
absolutely. So what is Guna here is A Guna, yeah? R and L, it's called samprasarana. They shrink into these consonants, yeah? They shrink into the consonants. Because two vowels, when they meet, they have to mix. So A and E mixing into A, A and U mixing into O, but A and Ri try to mix. Ri is Ishat Sprishta, so it is slightly touched. And because of that slight touch, it cannot sustain, so it will turn into the consonant.
But we don't have them in the Varnamala, correct?
No, no, we don't have.
I mean, we have A, I, O, R.
Yes, yes, we don't have R, Al. These are gunas from Ri and Li, and R, Al, vridhis from Ri and Li. This is what we find in derivations of the words. Why it is important for us? Because we want to see the derivations. Now I will give you some derivations, and you will recognize the root. So
Only
if
thing is, I think in Ashtadhyayi, the first two sutras talk about Guna and Vriddhi, but I think I'll learn later on. I don't know
No. Go okay. Vriddhi Radhaich. Panini is clever. He says that Vriddhi is A, E, and O. He doesn't say anything else. Oh, sorry. What do I say? Vriddhi Radhaich, A, I, and Au. He doesn't mention R and Al at all. Why? Because A is already Vriddhi. So in this system, you can see that A is Vriddhi. So why do we need to mention the R? There is no need. And then Aden Guna. Guna is A, E, and O. That's it. He doesn't mention R and Al because A is Guna already there. So he avoids the whole explanation of these changes by just not mentioning them altogether. I find this.
Guna, I mean, do we have in this context what is Guna and Vriddhi?
Guna and Vriddhi, these are the technical terms which helps us to understand the changes within the language, phonetic changes. How can you create from one root many words? How would you do it? It's a very difficult task. So, and here we are coming to this. So if I have a root Cree, how would I create it? So I have with Kara, and this is Vriddhi. Yeah? So A and A are the carriers. Yeah? Guna and Vriddhi are the carriers to create new derivations from the same sound. This is a clever system that to keep it transparent, to recognize the root still in Kara, Karanam, Karta, Karma. Everywhere I recognize the root Kri. Because R is Vriddhi, R is Guna of Ri. So A and A are creating many possibilities for sound Ri to participate in building the words. Does it make sense? No, really, this should be quite obvious.
I think so. You're saying, Vladimir, I'm kind of a little confused. So you're saying that the Cree, there is a A in between, like the root is Cree, but there is A Vriddhi in between, which is Kara.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There
It's
are many
not like Kriya. The root doesn't, for example.
Kriya is also from Kriyas. Kriya.
As a novice,
Sanskritam.
I think of Kriyam, Kriya as a root Cree, but I maybe in my mind I don't look at Kara as a Cree root. So if you can help me.
Yes, exactly. Because R is, if you see this semi-vowel here, R, yeah, and then you know, and I is before, that this semi-vowel is produced from Vowelery. This is the whole beautiful, transparent etymological system of Sanskrit language. They use A and A to build the derivations, and these are called Guna and Vriddhi.
What is, I think, not clear is, Vladimir, how does the transformation happens from Cree to Kara? What is the step-by-step?
Step-by-step. Okay, step-by-step is a bit... Yeah.
R is Vriddhi, which is clear, but how did that suddenly come in Cree?
Okay, here we come. So when you add A to Ri, you will have R. If you add a to li, you will have al. If you have a added to ri, you will have or, al. Yeah. So if you have a added to e, you will have e. And not only e, it will be also aya in certain sense. You know, jayati, nayati. Or you add u, it will be bhu from bhu bhavati. So there will be a will pop up back. So if I would type for you, let me type for you, since you are so curious about Sanskrit. Sanskrit is amazing in this particular regard, that it keeps its derivations clear, totally clear, no doubt, yeah, of the root. So I will
That will
stop.
be very helpful.
Stop this and project this. So I will be typing in Latin, of course, not in Devanagari, because in Devanagari you don't see it, yeah, and because of that. So if I take any root, suppose.
Is it IAST or Harvard Q to trans?
Say it again.
Is it IAST convention you're following, Vladimir?
I don't know really, truly speaking. I'm not very familiar with terms. Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm using my own system. I can teach you how to do this because I assigned particular signs. Yeah, for example, yeah, we take root G. So G will have Guna J in the first class. We know it. Yeah, and then A suffix and T ending. So you have J-A-T, literally. Yeah? So say Jayati first. Jayati, Jayati, Jayati. So what you will get? You will get Jayati. Amazing, yeah? It is not something, it's not a fantasy in the head that they started Guna. It belongs to our articulation as it is naturally articulated. So Jayati becomes Jayati. Why? Because A is nothing but, if I split A, is nothing but A and E. A and E plus A, E, A gives A, Ya. That E has it kind of hardens into semi-vowel and it becomes Ya. This is mathematically correct, phonetically correct, and psychologically when we pronounce correct. It's correct from every way, in every way. So that A here, Jayati, interestingly, this A is a guna of E, which is popping up back to its form. So we, knowing that, or kind of feeling that rather, we understand that Jayati is root G. So we have many derivations from G. Like Jeta, you can have this one. J3, yes, or Jeta, the victor, yeah, or the conqueror, or Vijaya with many. What else? Jita, conquered, yeah. No, Jita. Vijaya, the conquest, with V prefix. We will come to these elements, prefixes, suffixes, everything else. I will look into them again. So these are different words from the same root. So it is transparently. J is guna. Yeah, you can have also jai. And I have to say, like nothing comes to my mind, but I will take a better roots, like bhu, for example. Bhu root to become, to be, will become bho, a, t in the first class. A is suffix, which is added to the first class. T is the ending. Yeah. So bhoati becomes, if you say
Bhavati.
fast,
Bhavati.
bhavati. And you know this bhavati became hai in Hindi. This is the reductionism. First it became hoti. In Hindustani, hoti. Bhavati became hoti. Yeah? Hoti, bhavati, hoti. And then it became he. He. So bhavati also can be bhava, yeah, with guna, with vriddhi, sorry. Bhava or bhavana. How would you translate this? Bhavana. And you immediately see the bhu root, yeah? I see at least. Yeah? So bhavana is that which is supporting, bhavayati, supporting the becoming. It's from causative sense. To cause the becoming, to make becoming happen. So it has also a meaning, this lengthening of in the causative sense will create a new meaning, kind of causing, supporting the becoming, and so on. Ubhauti, bhuti, bhuta, yeah, bhuta, bhutani, and so on. So in this way, you can recognize the derivations. Yeah? I'm coming back to my, now you will be more familiar with what I try to say here. So you can see that bhavana, bhava, bhavati, bhavati, this is what I was, it's root bhu. Rutni, nayana, netra, na I ati nayati, ji jaya jeta jayati. You can recognize the root, yeah? So root I eti itachyanti, you can recognize root I in all of this. Richati, runoti, arati, rita, ritu, ari, arya, you recognize root Ri everywhere.
Vladimir, just to solidify my understanding, I just want to give an example and you tell me if it's right.
Sure.
For Keno Upanishad, Keno is, if I go by the way it is, the root is ki, right? Because it's A comes from E.
No,
It's not-
Kena is from ka. It is a flexema. We will have to look into suffixes. We should not mix suffixes and endings into the root. Yeah. So the and prefixes also, prefixation. We will look into the elements of this. The root is something has to be always seen. I will ask you few words and you will tell me the root, okay?
Mhm.
Gamanam. Usually the root is the first syllable. Huh?
So Gamanam, Ma is a consonant, right? So it's Ga, just Ga.
Yeah, pure root ga, but it is gum. Yes, gum, ana is suffix. Yeah? Gamana, gum root. There are roots with extensions also. Or for example, yoga. What is root of yoga?
That you told us already. Huge.
Huge. Interestingly, yes. Bhoga.
Should be Bhuj.
Bhuj,
Bhuj,
absolutely, absolutely. Bhojanam, bhuj, yeah. Bhunakti, it is used in the 7th class, bhuj. Unakti in the 7th class, to unite, to yoke. Karam. I have these roots, bhavana, bahara. Bhayam.
Bhai.
He.
No,
Very good, bhi. Bhai, you see a guna, then you know that you is I, bhi, to be afraid. So when you hear bhayam, you know that it is from bhi, to be afraid. Kara, Cree, to be done. Yeah? Krinoti.
Cree. Again.
Yes, karoti.
That is Cree.
Very good. Karoti krinoti kri.
One question, please.
Mm.
If we take the word Atma,
Hmm. Difficult word.
what is the root of the word Atma?
There is a dispute about this root, and there are so many ideas of different people, different scholars, different saints. Some say it's from root an, to breathe. I don't believe it. I think it is more because there is a word tman in the Veda, Atman and Tman, and both have the same meaning of the body, of the self. Also physical body. Atman is a physical body. Tman is the physical body. Yes? So At most probably is the prefix onto some kind of state of being. So kind of extending or reaching the state of Tman. So what Tman could be? What do you think?
Coming from Man, right?
Tman. There is tu there in front. Not easy man.
Right.
Man is rather, an is rather suffix. So if tum is the root, so what is tum? Huh?
Like
That-
tamas?
Tamas. Absolutely. It is tamas. Tam yati. It is that root tam which dropped its a because tman, the accent is on an, the accent shifted and the weak a disappeared. So it could be totally from root tam to become inert, to become stiff, to become solid, yeah, to solidify. So something which is solidify is the self, which has its own separate identity. It's most probably the root.
So Atman in a
Atman,
sense
Atma.
is not that?
No, it's long a, Atman. It is that which arrives at solidity. Yeah? It is that which is taking form.
Vladimir, we see that Atma is also used for spirit. I mean,
Later, yes. It's a more philosophical term of the self rather than spirit. Spirit is more Brahman, and Atman is the self.
okay, that you're saying that is a more appropriate English equivalent of.
Well, we speak in English, yes, right. So, of course, people confuse spirit and self. If you can tell me the difference between spirit and self, then we will be knowing the difference between Atman and Brahman. Spirit is, yeah?
Or even if we take the words Atma and Chit, the consciousness, what is the difference? It's still not clear to me.
Interestingly, that Atman is used as a self in Sanskrit language, yes?
Yeah.
A self itself, yes? You can use it as myself, Atman. In Atmanepadam, yes? So for oneself, word for oneself. Atman is the self properly. It's not only English. Yeah? It's not the spirit. It's really the self. But doesn't matter. Yes, go ahead. You were saying something, Praveen.
But a deeper question is, Vladimir, also from the discussions that we have had in the past and taking the whole philosophy of language into account, is it right to say that we cannot define any word in and of itself? I mean, there is no definition for any word by in and of itself. Or we can only define them in relation to others. I mean, that's why I can see the difficulty in defining Brahman, Atma, Manas, Chit, of course, you have defined, but again, bringing that focus into the being.
No, we will define every word of this kind. Atman, Brahman, there is a root behind which gives the original meaning, yeah, the core meaning. And then that core meaning applied to different contexts creates many meanings, yeah.
Like, for example, if you take Brahman, you said it means to expand.
Yes.
But what is expanding? Again, it's defining in terms of something else. That's why I'm asking, is it difficult to define any word in and of itself?
But all the roots have these general significance. They do not have the significance of some cup or some computer. Yeah? Computer, cup are the derivations or applications of general significances. We have to learn to recover those general significances, to feel the roots, yeah, when we say the cup or anything.
And it feels that then that Vladimir, that all the words are ultimately a search for the reality.
They are manifestation of reality. Yeah? They are the powers which manifest the reality, and this reality takes shapes in accordance with the meaning of that root.
Yeah. I think we had that on the slides, 2-3 slides before, which really caught me, made me pay attention, where you said sound has meaning and the foundations of etymology.
Oh yeah, mother's quotation, yeah.
Yeah, that sound has meaning. And
oh yeah, Sri Aurobindo's, wait a minute. Yeah, this one most probably. Equal regularity, equal reign of fixed process on the psychological side in the determining the relation of particular sense to particular sound. Sense, general significance, general, the most general color, varna, what is this state of being narrowed, forceful? Yeah? It is not one meaning. It is the whole sense of it, which later generates in particular applications certain meanings.
Yeah. Praveen, what I heard Vladimir say was that's a difference of etymology as held here versus the modern day interpretation of etymology. Would that be correct?
Yes, totally.
Yes.
Because it's not, not totally incorrect, but it is not looking at it systematically. Modern etymology does not look at sounds which generate meanings in the system. Like we are looking. We are looking in this is our first etymological system. This is it. All the meanings are distributed in a particular fashion. I can give you the meanings like it's like a table of chemistry tables, you know, the weight, the color, and the articulation of particular articulation generates a certain psychological state, which corresponds to certain root or meaning of the root, which generates the families of the words. You know? With this particular extension, we'll notice we take roots without extension yet, and they can be extended. You know? Like U can be extended into, what is U? It's E and U combined. Yeah. We didn't come yet to the combinations. We will come to them. This is an amazing treat of what is happening when you start combining them. E is that one-pointedness, U is duality, and you have this device, you know, oneness of two. And U has the meaning of uniting as the first meaning, and also dividing, as we said before, yeah? Because oneness can split into two, or two can come into one. It depends how you will be applying this device, in which context you will start using it. The same with the V root, interestingly, because V is U and E, yeah? Different situation. And V has this duality, Vishnu, who holds heaven and earth, actually. It's explained Vishnu, Snu is the suffix of a doer, and V holds two in one. He is the holder of heaven and earth. And also separation, V. Vigata, going out, splitting. You have both meanings of holding two in one and splitting one in two. Amazing. And these are general significances which you will find absolutely meaningful in Sanskrit language. These are the major devices.
So, Vladimir, this is where I wanted to clarify that when we say general sense, so we are establishing something by convention.
No, it's more than convention. It's something which will be proven later by usage, but it is some intuitive and psychological connection with your apparatus. When you start articulating, you will have to understand what it actually does to you. Yeah,
It's a function of our own existence or ontological existence.
Absolutely, its apparatus is given. It's not a dolphin. It's not crow. It's not a wolf. It's a human apparatus which has talo, heart palate, which has lips, teeth, tongue, nasal cave, vocal cords. It's limited. And this limitation creates all specific psychological states in the attempts to articulate particular sounds. I have somewhere this definition by my own. Not here.
That.
Yes. Yes, here. A conscious attempt to articulate the meaning of an undifferentiated state of a movement or quality corresponds to the sound A. If you were to choose from all possible articulations how to articulate the most consciously the undifferentiated state of or movement or quality, you will arrive at this sound. Conscious attempt to articulate the meaning of a particular relative state of existence or movement or quality corresponds to sound E, and so on, U and Ri. So I'm kind of putting it upside down. Instead of saying that the sound has the meaning, I say that the attempt to articulate a particular meaning will result in this sound.
Yeah.
It just helps a little to approach the subject. Yeah.
I must say then this is really for very advanced selves, human beings, Vladimir, because at least in other languages, Prakrit languages, we speak, we are not conscious as the slide mentions. I mean, but I think this is more close to the Vedic usage of Sanskrit. It seems to me like that.
Yes,
that
it's not
to become more conscious.
Absolutely, and we had this introduction where Sri Aurobindo says that the word is a parent of the idea rather than a token of the idea. Yeah? So, because by the word you generate a new power, new expression, which becomes that idea.
This slide is beautiful, Vladimir. Thank you so much for bringing it.
Yeah, we are looking at the same topic from different views. Yes, as some people believe that sounds have the meaning and they are kind of imposed onto our system, and then but how? It can't be true because we have to articulate them. Yeah, so that articulation is meaningful to us. It is inbuilt in our bodies. E is intense. U is extended. A is undifferentiated but creative of space and movement and time and everything. Beingness. Yeah? And the Ri is drilling. It is there. It's constantly there when we pronounce sounds, words.
I think we'll have to sit and produce the same sound for a few minutes to try and feel into it. But what's coming back to me is that statement from the Seeker of the Vedas saying it's more neural than intellectual.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's more the sense of it, the feeling of it, which is inbuilt in the body, the general significance, which later becomes the meaning.
The state of the being, is it?
Mm-hmm. And this correspondence, this pure correspondence of Sanskrit with the truth of our existence, the meaning of those words with articulatory, is the power of Sanskrit. So they don't deviate far away. You know? They keep close because Sanskrit is the only language which preserved its system of etymons, full system of articulatory devices. Other languages didn't have even an idea that there must be something in it. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G doesn't have an idea what, how, and why sounds are pronounced. And here we have a regular system. Within this system, we can find the roots. We will examine next time the roots. I prepared the whole thing. I will send you all these roots of families. You look into them, see what Sri Aurobindo tells us. This is Sri Aurobindo's definitions. I didn't have enough time today to do it. But you please kind of examine it, and next time, if you have questions, we will have very good discussion.
Yeah, this is so interesting.
Great, lovely. Okay, Om
Thanks.
Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Auntie.
Thank you
Bye,
for sending the
Madhuri.
material from last time also.
Yes, lovely.